Okay, welcome everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order. That being the regular council meeting of Warwick Township Council, April 15th, and starting time as always is 3:30. I'll remind council of disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest. Does anybody have one at this time? Seeing none, thank you. I'd also like to welcome everybody who's tuning in through our YouTube link. Welcome. And now I'm going to do the acknowledgement of ancestral lands. We acknowledge that the land in which we are gathered here today, Township of Warwick, is located on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, as well as the many Indigenous nations in Ontario, whose footsteps have marked them for centuries. We also wish to acknowledge that we are situated on Treaty 29 and Treaty 25 territories signed by Chippewa chiefs and offer our respect and gratitude for these lands. I'm going to number 5 on the agenda, council, and that's minutes of the previous council meeting, that being March 25th to be exact. Did anybody have any questions or comments on those minutes? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion for those minutes then, please. Deputy Mayor Kallenberg, Councillor Morris, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. I don't believe there was any business arising from those minutes, Madam Clerk. No, thank you. Let's go to number 7 then, council. If we could, schedule meetings and events, 7A. Does anybody have any questions on any of those in 7A? Seeing none, we also have 7B. Does anybody have any questions on 7B? Seeing none, thank you. Let's go to number 8, councilors' commitments and verbal items. First, we'll start with the commitment. Did anybody have any changes on the commitment list this time around? Councillor Manning.
Yes, I'll be gone from April 19th to April 25th. I'll be unavailable.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else? And as always, if you do have something, feel free to call the deputy clerk or the clerk, and they can add it to the list at any time. Let's go to councillors' items. I'm going to start with Councillor Westgate tonight. Councillor Westgate, did you have anything?
No, I have nothing today.
Councillor Morris?
Just, I'm getting a lot of good compliments, Andrew, on the roads. The guys rode with the graders. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. I'll make sure I pass that on to the crew.
Deputy Mayor Kallenberg?
Nothing this time.
Councillor Manning?
I have nothing today. Thanks.
Okay, just one thing. We just got clarification that we will be meeting with the Minister of Energy in Toronto. We have a half-an-hour meeting. It's outside of the Roma conference, but we are having the opportunity to meet with them during the same time period while we're in Toronto. So we're going to be meeting with him for half an hour to talk about natural gas expansion and 3-phase hydro. So just to let everybody know, we continue to work on that situation, trying to be that badly needed natural gas to Warwick Township. So that's all I have today. Thank you. We're going to go to number 9. We have staff items. We have a verbal update from Amanda, our CAO clerk, on support of Bill 165, keeping energy costs down and access to natural gas in Ontario. Amanda.
Thank you, Mayor Case. As you'll see included on the agenda, there is recently issued on April 8th media release from the Township of Warwick, as well as a submission to the hearings on Bill 165, keeping energy costs down. So I wanted to ensure that council was aware that the township did issue the media release supporting Bill 165, which is aimed at keeping energy costs down, but also supporting natural gas expansion for smaller scale projects. And we also submitted in writing the included brief on why that was important to rural Ontario. So just wanted you to be aware that will be part of the standing committee's debate and discussion on Bill 165.
Thanks, man. Does anybody have any questions on that information? Seeing none, let's have a motion to receive and file the printed portion of the agenda. Councillor Manning making that motion, seconded by Councillor Westgate. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We are ahead of time here, so we'll come back to delegation and timed events starting at 4 o'clock. Let's go to 11A if we can, council, the GL report. Did anybody have any questions on the GL report? See no questions on the GL report. So I'm going to ask about accounts payable. Did anybody have any questions on the accounts payable? Yes, Councillor Morris.
Yeah, I have 2. Unfortunately, Trevor isn't here, but this, I can't find it. I went back on, tried to find the check number and I can't find it, but looks like it's the fire department tower lease. Expenses and supplies, $3,500.
Okay, Amanda, can you speak to that? Or would you want to refer it to Trevor when he comes back? Would that be okay? Would that be okay, Councilor Morris?
That's fine.
Without him having, we have anybody from finance here today, so if that's.
And the other one is infra level 2023 accessibility, $26,000 and change.
Please, Amanda.
That one, thank you, Councilor Morris, is, I believe, an expense related to the grant fee associated with the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act our funding we received. So as we used a grant writer for those funds, that's the portion I believe that was owed to them as part of the grant obtained for the ELCC.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Anybody else? Seeing none, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve both the GL and the accounts payable with a note attached. Looking for clarification on Councilor Morris's questions. So I would ask for that motion. Moved by Councilor Morris, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kallenberg. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, let's go to number 12 if we can, Council, on the non-consent or the consent agenda, pardon me. The first one is non-action correspondence. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for a motion to receive and file A to C unless there's something somebody would like to take out of the non-action or B or C. Otherwise, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve all three together. Give everybody a chance to get where they need to be. If nobody has a question, I would entertain a motion to approve, receive and file all three. Councilor Manning, you're making that motion. Thank you. Do we have a seconder to that motion? Councilor Westgate. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now we're going to go to 13, reports and items requiring a motion. The first one, Council, is 13A, and it's action correspondence. We have one. It's 04-40. It's the Watford Optimists request to do with their volleyball annual tournament. How does Council wish to deal with this? Councilor Morris?
I make that motion.
Thank you, Councilor Morris. Who would like to second that one? Councilor Westgate is seconding that. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. So the next one is 13B, and it's the first off, I'm going to ask for a motion to lift this one from the table. It's to do with the volunteer recognition program. It was tabled last motion. So could I get a motion to lift, please? Deputy Mayor Kallenberg, seconded by Councilor Manning. All in favor? That's carried. So since we had that on the agenda last time and the motion was made to table, there's been some more information. And if you look, Council, it's really encompassed between 1 to 4 encompasses it all. It kind of sets it out how it can work. Does anybody have an issue with following through 1 to 4 through this process, or does somebody have something else they would like to recommend other than that? Stephanie, did you want to speak to it at all? You're good. So basically 1 to 4 outlines kind of the steps and how we would do it. And it's up to council. The staff is looking for direction on how we do this. So basically what we do is we have the awards. We can recognize the folks here at council. We can do it annually. So it's really up to council, but the way it's laid out 1 to 4 seems to work. Is everybody good with that? So I entertain a motion to do that. Does that give staff the direction they need?
Thank you, Mayor Case. We would request a resolution to approve report PND 1124, which would approve, yes, the process as outlined.
And you were going to get one, Madam Clerk? I was just making sure that everybody was okay with it before I proceeded and asked for that motion. So if council feels like they want to support this, we would ask. Councilor Westgate, you're moving it? Thank you.
Motion.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Kallenberg. Further discussion of any? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And 13C is the tennis court fee for service, and the recommendation is at $10 plus HST. And just to confirm, so everybody in the public knows, this isn't everyday use of the tennis court. This is if it's a special occasion tournament or something like that. I'm correct, Ryan, when I say that? Thank you. How does council wish to deal with the recommendation on 13C? Moved by Deputy Mayor Kallenberg. Do we have a seconder? Seconder by Councillor Morris. Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor Manning.
Can I get a clarification on this? Are we moving the original recommendation or are we moving the Parks and Rec recommendation? Because I think there was a bit of an addition to it on the Parks and Rec.
Amanda or Ryan, who would like to speak to this? Ryan?
Yes. Actually, just gonna need to look and see what that difference is. Can you clarify that?
I believe originally it was just going to be open to the rental fees at all times, but the Park and Recs committee had recommended that we only have at certain time periods. And it just kind of limited and keep it first come, first serve for most things and see how it worked out. I believe it was, wasn't it?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Manning. It is, I think it still does actually read that way. It would be an 8-hour minimum just for those wishing to book tournaments or special events. Other than that, it would be a first come, first served basis. So the only times, again, that would be available for rent at the $10 an hour booked through our permitting process would be minimum 8 hours for tournaments and special events.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Good, Councillor? Okay. Yes, Councillor Westgate.
I'm just wondering if we shouldn't go a little bit farther. If a group like the pickleball group wants to use it at 10 o'clock every morning, I would think they should, if they're gonna book that time in, they should pay something for it too. I know there's a group that plays pickleball in the hall. I don't think they pay anything. And if they're gonna book it every day, maybe they should be putting like the group at Thursday afternoon does. I think they pay $50 to book it for 2 hours. I don't see why other groups couldn't pay that much. It's cheap in the long run.
Thank you, Councillor Westgate. Just to clarify, I believe that was sort of the original intent of the original request that came to council at a previous meeting. We were directed as staff to take that back and look at that further with our Parks and Recreation Committee, where it was determined that the recommendation made today was how the committee thought we should best proceed. And that is to not rent the outdoor tennis courts to anyone and have it only available for special events and special occasions, keeping with the first come, first served basis for all other groups at any other time, including the pickleball groups that wish to use it. They're more than welcome to come on a first come, first served basis, but there's no ability to formally book it through our rental process.
Yes, Councillor Manning.
So yeah, that was the difference I was referring to. So I believe one of the ideas for our Parks and Rec was the committee felt that we'd do a trial run on the first come, first served basis and kind of let the pickleballers and other groups know. And if they were to run into issues where they were overlapping or not being able to ask people to leave and use it, then we could look into further. But we didn't want to limit rental and have somebody be able to rent entire blocks of space and then leave it unaccessible for first come, first serve for the rest of the community members.
Councillor Westgate.
No, I agree. It should be a first come, first serve or first use basis. But if you're going to use it the same day, let's say a Wednesday at 10 o'clock every day, that's where I think they should be booking it. But if it works the way it is, then that's fine too.
Okay, any further discussion on the recommendation? I had a mover and a seconder, I believe. I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Let's go to 13D if we can then, council. And 13D is the Burnham Line asphalt replacement tender. There's a recommendation that Warwick Township Council approves the recommendation of Spreed Associates to award GIP Paving Inc., the contract for the Burnham Line asphalt replacement for $354,300 excluding HST. How does council wish to deal with that recommendation? Moved by Deputy Mayor Kallenberg, seconded by Councillor Morris. Just one quick question. This is under budget, I believe, Andrew?
That's correct. It is under budget by $45,000 less engineering.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Councillor Morris.
Andrew, did they give any time of when they're gonna do the project? Like just, we let residents know, especially the farmers?
Thanks, Councillor Morris. We don't have a specific start date. Typically, we say no sooner than May 15th. But as part of the contractor's package, they do have to send out notices to all the residents.
All right. Anybody else have any other questions on this particular one? Before I call the vote, I got one question. So we're saving approximately $40,000, $35,000 after engineering and everything. Last time around, we had a surplus. We actually utilized the surplus and put it towards a project. I don't know what you're going to get for $35,000. But is that something, Andrew, we should look at, or do we leave it alone and just see where the money needs to go, maybe potentially later on?
Thanks, Mayor Case. I'd be hesitant to allocate this anywhere right now. Like you say, it's not a lot of money left over to do a ton with, so I would maybe leave it for now. If perhaps there's any unforeseen issues in the project, we may need it within it, but I would leave it for now.
All right, thank you for that. Just always looking to take advantage of when the boots are on the ground, then maybe there's some savings, but it isn't a lot of money. Okay, I'm going to call the question then, council. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We'll go to E if we could. We'll go to 13E. And this is the Watford Public Works Facility roof replacement. And there's a recommendation that Warwick Township Council approves the recommendation of awarding Canada Pro Roofing the contract for the Watford Public Works Facility roof replacement for $25,078.75, excluding HST. And I think this is right around on budget, Andrew?
That's correct. It's bang out on budget with the township's portion of the HST. It'll be slightly over.
Thank you. Did anybody have any questions on this one? Councillor Morris?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little disappointed there was no local bids. Actually, I thought this kind of a job would go more local. I'm a little disappointed they didn't tender it, or
I agree, Councillor Morris. I did reach out to a couple local prior to the tender being submitted and still didn't receive any bids.
All right. How does council wish to deal with the recommendation? Moved by Councillor Manning, seconded by Councillor Westgate. Any further discussion at all? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Well, we have the Howden Parker drain petition, which is next. Is it a timed event, Amanda?
No.
No, so I guess we're good to go with it then. Oh, pardon me. It is different. Okay, no problem. No. Okay. Okay, so there's a recommendation affixed to this one as well, that Warwick Township Council hereby approves the recommendation from the drainage superintendent to proceed with improvement of the Howden Parker drain under section 78 of the Drainage Act, and that after 30 days notice to the St. Clair Regional Conservation Authority, a new report be prepared by Spreet Associates before the work can proceed. How does council wish to deal with that recommendation? Moved by Deputy Mayor Kallenberg, seconded by Councillor Morris. Further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, council, anything, anybody have any new business? We've kind of already talked about that under councilor's items. Does anybody have anything? Seeing none. Very good. So council, we're going to take about a 10-minute recess and we'll come back at 4 o'clock for timed events. Thank you. Okay, council, we're now back in session. The next item on our agenda is the quarter revision meeting for the Sisson Drain. I need a motion that Warwick Township Council proceed into the quarter revision for the Sisson Drain 2024 bylaw number 13, 2024. Who wants to do the honors? Councillor Manning's making a motion and Councillor Morris is seconding it. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Now, my duty report, ask the question, have any written appeals been received? Amanda?
They have not.
Does anyone present have any verbal appeals? Anybody have any verbal appeals? Seeing none. Andrew, do you have any comments to make?
No, I do not.
Okay. Since there are no appeals filed, the following resolution is to be passed. That the quarter revision for the Sisson Drain 2024 bylaw number 13 of 2024 be closed without changes to the report and that we go back into open council. I need a mover and a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Kallenberg is moving it, seconded by Councillor Westgate. All in favor? That is carried. That is done. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have our next delegation. We have our friends from SLEP here today with us. We have Chantel Kaur and Matthew Slawinski from Sarnia Lambton Economic Partnership. Please come up and join us, folks. We have a room right here for you at the end of the table. And before you start your presentation, I just want to say thank you on behalf of Warwick Township Council for all the work and support you've given us over the last few years especially. And again, we always thank you for the fact that we landed BC Foods and we're quite happy to have them here as a tenant in the old Androck building. So anyways, welcome. And I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Matthew.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the introduction and the kind words. Always happy when there's a success has a positive impact in Warwick Township, and hopefully some of what we can present here today will show a path forward to future success and provide a little bit of an update of some of the items we have going on at the Sarnia Lambton Economic Partnership. So, of course, the first couple items that I'll ultimately get into here are a little bit of a rehash of the last presentation we provided about 6 months ago, just to make sure that everyone's up to date on exactly the services that we do provide to the community and how we can be utilized. If I could go to the next slide, please. So at a very high level, again, we are the economic development agency for the County of Lambton and all the municipalities that do fall within it. If we're looking at the basic services that we do provide, it can be summed up in 3 words. And ultimately that's attract, expand, and retain. On the attraction side, that includes everything from new business to the necessary workforce to facilitate business locally. And ultimately linked to both of those is going to be investment. On the expansion side, that's where we work with existing businesses on expansion opportunities. And then on the retention side, that's going to be retaining people, leading to, there's a little bit of an error on here, I do apologize. Retaining people in the form of workforce, retaining businesses that ultimately have concerns that are impacting upon their business. But it is worth noting, of course, separate from this, that entrepreneurship and other small business support is also important within our organization. And we'll talk a little bit about that through this. Next slide, if I may. I won't go into detail on each of these as we have discussed it in the past, but did want to reintroduce sort of the 6 core elements of the Sarnia Lambton Economic Partnership. Certainly, we exist as an organization that's supposed to have the structure to ultimately deliver on each of those items that I did introduce. We've been working over the last several months and will be into the future on building out a more powerful brand to help market Sarnia Lambton as a place to live, to work, to invest, and ultimately to succeed as businesses, as individuals. From a workforce perspective, and we'll describe some of our programs as we work through this. Again, we are seeking to attract what's relevant to the local businesses in the area, not just people, but what ultimately is needed in those people, so that businesses can thrive and can ultimately grow. On number 4, ultimately cluster development is really important. And while this one describes energy and chemistry specifically, I do want to emphasize that there's a variety of economic clusters that we do focus on. And the next slide after this will ultimately have a little bit of a discussion on those. Agriculture and rural communities are certainly important to us. That's one of the reasons why we've created Chantel's role, and she'll describe a little bit of how she impacts on some of these elements through this presentation. And then ultimately, if we're going to succeed as a community in growing and thriving, innovation is key. That's innovation across many of our economic sectors. So that's innovation across the programming that we have. But associated with driving innovation is also market readiness. And that's something I'll touch on in this presentation later on. Next slide, if I may. When we look at some of the core economic sectors that we do seek to drive and interact with in the area, well, we like to think we can be successful in driving any type of opportunity to the area. If you're not a master of some, you're not a master of any. And so with that, we focus as an organization across some of these core economic clusters, to use the cluster word, into the area. So, and many of them are certainly interrelated. So it really makes sense looking at our historical strengths in the area with the new opportunity, the diversification, and ultimately the transition of the economic opportunity that we may have. While noting, of course, that each municipality will ultimately have opportunities in different sectors. If we look to Warwick itself, certainly agriculture has tremendous opportunity. It's already a major driver of investment in business, and could be more so. That could link into sustainable chemistry concepts, especially when we take into account things like waste management and let's say the renewable natural gas opportunities coming from that. And of course, manufacturing is ultimately key to every municipality. There's always opportunities, whether that's light, whether that's heavy, given the assets that a municipality may have. And we think there's plenty of opportunity for additional manufacturing to take place here in Warwick Township. As we move to the next slide here, I'd like to introduce Chantel Kaur, who's been with our organization for a considerable number of years in a variety of different capacities, and has taken on a few roles that I think will be really important to Warwick Township moving forward.
Thanks, Matthew. It's a pleasure to be here today. As Matthew has alluded to, I have been with the organization for over 10 years in a variety of different capacities. I've had the opportunity to work on our entrepreneurship programs, work with small businesses in the community operating at very micro levels, and also work on our business retention and expansion programs. So the work that I'm doing is not new. However, it's refocused as part of element 1 that you'll see on this slide. One of our goals to provide a seamless investor and stakeholder experience. So what we've done, instead of having our multiple EDOs, economic development officers, assigned to different municipalities, we've streamlined it to have one dedicated person to work with each of our rural municipalities. So that is my new role and my key focus, to build out relationships with the municipal staff and councils to ensure that we are providing the economic development services and collaboration opportunities that you are seeking to help grow your community. As part of my role, I am focused on business retention and expansion visits with our existing business clients. That's not new to our organization, but it's a refocus on a dedicated person responsible for conducting business retention and expansion visits. In addition to that, I'm available to assist municipalities with special projects. That can include some examples that I'll get into later, but a good example I like to use is a downtown revitalization project we did last year with both Lambton Shores for Downtown Forest and the town of Petrolia for their Main Street Business Corridor. You can switch the slide. I want to touch more on the business retention expansion aspect of my role and how this fits into element 5 of our strategic plan. Agriculture and rural communities is incredibly important to us. Our goal is to better leverage agriculture assets and integrate that with industry. Our goal is to support our rural and downtown entrepreneurs. And one of the ways we are going to do that is with a very thorough business retention and expansion program. What this means is we are looking to engage with as many businesses in the community as we possibly can, primarily focusing on agriculture, manufacturing, and other priority operations. We conduct these visits by going to their location and building a relationship. We want to learn as much as we can about how they're operating, what their challenges and opportunities are, and connect them to resources. We want them to grow and succeed, and we feel that building those relationships between our team, economic development, our partners at the provincial, federal level, and your team here in Warwick helps strengthen the business community that we seek to grow. If you could switch to the next slide, please. Yep. Perfect. So in my previous capacity, I was the manager of our Small Business Enterprise Center, and I'm still passionate about sharing the great work that we do through our Business Enterprise Center. For those who are not familiar, the Business Enterprise Center provides one-on-one business counseling services to entrepreneurs and people looking to start or grow a business. So even pre-entrepreneurship services. So helping them spend some time one-on-one with an advisor for free that can help them fine-tune their idea, understand some concepts related to business planning, and move from idea and concept into actually launching their business. And we support them through those early stages as well. Within the Business Enterprise Center, we are looking at opportunities to host workshops, offer our service actually dedicated in the municipality. So if that's an opportunity that Warwick would like to explore, we are eager to have our business counselor in your community on set days and enhance that collaboration and resource. We offer a variety of programs through the Business Enterprise Center that tend to draw a lot of entrepreneurs to us. One of those is the Starter Company Plus program. It is a $5,000 grant and mentoring program that helps give people a boost when they're looking to start or grow their small business. $5,000 can be a significant amount of money, but the program also gives a business owner a lot of confidence when they go through that competitive process and are then selected. They get to spend a year with a cohort of other business owners and learn together and grow and collaborate. We have been giving out 6 grants through that program for the last few years, and we're increasing it to 10 this year. And I do want to note that Balance Physio Yoga here and East Lambton Chiropractic were recipients of that program and helped start their businesses. We are also offering the Summer Company program as well. It is a provincial government program that gives students between the ages of 15 and 29 a $3,000 government grant to start and run their own business for the summer. This is an experiential learning opportunity. It's not meant to take them away from their education, but rather give them an enhanced opportunity during the summer months where they get to learn what it takes to start and run their own business with our mentoring and support through that program. We have 4 spots typically, and we're increasing that to 6 this year. We've also had a Warwick student participate in that program previous years, operating an ice cream cart, if you can remember seeing that in the community. Lastly, I'll touch on our Digital Main Street program. We're not currently operating this program, but for the last 4 years, we've had boots on the ground team dedicated to helping small businesses in our community enhance their digital presence. So this provides them with resources, training, and grants to help become more digital savvy business operators and really drive towards adding an e-commerce component and the digital efficiency that it requires to operate a business in 2024. I'm going to pass it back to Matthew to talk about workforce attraction.
And I'll be relatively succinct here, recognizing time. So on the workforce attraction side of things, I did want to draw attention to a few programs that certainly are available to local businesses as well as to local job seekers. The most notable that I did want to raise as being functionable assets that have had tremendous impact are the Apprenticeship Job Match tool, which seeks to link potential apprentices with companies that are able to take on those particular types of job seekers. And through that program, we've had well over 100 job matches within Lambton County. Additionally, the Newcomer Connection Program, which leverages within it the Explore Talent Sarnia Lambton platform, assisted in creating over 61 jobs in Lambton County last year. That's a platform that takes on business owners who are looking at assisting newcomers in finding employment and filling ultimately their recruiting needs. The Explore Talent Sarnia Lambton platform and apprenticeship job match tool continue to be operating resources for those in need. The next slide, if I may. I'll touch on this just in that last time we were here, the Sarnia Lambton Economic Partnership wasn't as involved in advocacy as it currently is now. And the reality is we do need to advocate if we're ultimately seeking to drive investment, if we're looking to retain investment and even do things like drive infrastructure to the area. Most notably here that I really wanted to raise was our efforts associated with the natural gas rebasing and the OEB leave to construct. We know that was something that was impacting a lot of or could have had major impact on municipalities locally. So we did offer letters into the province on those particular items, and hopefully the decisions ultimately go the right way. And of course, ultimately, when it comes to some of these items, because they impact on companies like Enbridge Gas, who has major projects in the area and could potentially have more projects if they were to provide additional services into homes and potential business areas. We work with companies like that associated with these items as well from an advocacy standpoint. Back to Chantel briefly.
Thank you. I'm going to be really concise here, but I wanted to just touch on our current relationship with the Warwick municipal staff. We have a number of initiatives ongoing and have really enjoyed collaborating with their team and look forward to doing some more. We have recently updated the business directory in collaboration. We have been sharing our data and statistics with the township website and working to update and share available property database as well. We're really eager to participate in the business networking event happening this Thursday afternoon. We are brainstorming some training opportunities for fall 2024, and I'm actively seeking to conduct business retention and expansion visits in the community. In essence, we are here to help support the businesses in the community and projects that you would like to see for economic growth.
And the very last thing, this is something that I'm looking to undertake as a discussion point with municipal councils across Lambton County. I talk about our goal of, and I apologize there, last slide, if we may, market ready land, we talk about trying to drive investment to the area. The reality is we need land or buildings that are actively available to be able to ultimately be successful in driving that investment to the area. As recently at the Site Selectors Guild annual meeting, and they raised 3 items as the biggest items impacting industrial site selection: utilities and infrastructure. So when we talk about things like Enbridge Gas, for example, workforce and labor availability, we touched on our workforce efforts, and availability of development ready land. The reality is across Lambton County right now, we have very limited development ready land, and especially that has the utilities and infrastructure to make it completely investment ready for potential development. And the reason I bring this up is just simply to be informed that there are opportunities there's always opportunities to try and escalate the availability of the infrastructure and the land. From our perspective, whatever we can do to support additional development to make land more investment ready, we want to be utilized as a resource. Again, we can only sell the land that is actively available. Of course, right now, we know there's a limited number of acres still available within the Warwick Industrial Park. We've been trying to actively advertise that land via our land development tool. We know there's some privately held land that could be fantastic for various industrial development within Warwick Township. This comes into question the items associated with utilities and infrastructure. So we don't specifically have an ask here. Other than that it is something to raise for awareness purposes, and it's something that is impacting every municipality across Lambton County. Just to emphasize, we are here to help when it comes to these items. I think that's all from us here.
All right, well, thank you, Chantel, and thank you, Matthew, very much for your presentation. Does anybody have any questions for the presenters? I have one. So my question, I had an opportunity to speak to both of you not that long ago in your office, and I appreciate the time that you made available to me. I guess the business has changed a lot in the sense that used to, if you had 100 acres and you had put your sign up, quite often somebody would work with you and take the time to get the services put in. But now there's such a glut of buildings and so on the market right now, but also service land. Really, I think you have to have that land ready to go. I don't want to use the term shovel ready because I don't like that term. But really, at the end of the day, the way the market is being so competitive now, is that the case? Am I correct on that, that the land has to be really ready to go to take advantage of the few opportunities that come along? Matthew?
Well, that's exactly the case. And again, I know you don't like the term shovel ready, but the reality is companies are looking for shovel ready land. The vast majority of business opportunities that we see coming through our office, they aren't coming in saying specifically, we want just the township of Warwick. They're not even saying we want specifically Lambton County. Oftentimes they're looking across half the province, the whole province, or in some cases, a good portion of North America. And that means we're actively competing to drive this investment with sites that are truly shovel ready. That means the parcels have been defined. That means a suitable amount of the infrastructure is there to that site now. They don't want to hear it can be done. They don't want to hear it will be done. They want to hear it has been done. And ultimately what we encourage is to reduce any level of uncertainty a company might have in their site selection process. And the best way to do that is to have land that is actively ready now.
So when we look at the inventory of lands available to us through the 11 municipalities in Lambton County, do we have a shortage of those lands now in Lambton County?
We absolutely do. That is actually across any type of development, whether that's light industrial development, heavy industrial development, and many forms of commercial development. Right now, there is very little investment ready land that can truly accommodate a investment without major infrastructure modifications to that land. At the same time, there's a lack of buildings. Right now in the entirety of the county, I believe there is one building over 20,000 square feet that's actively available. What that means is we're not actively competing against competing municipalities or counties, but also that there's tremendous opportunity. That whether that's for private investors or whether for the municipalities themselves. And the reality is this in many ways is a problem everywhere and becoming more so all the time. So I do encourage certainly consideration of what can be done in the municipality to have land be truly investment ready.
Yeah, I think in all honesty, we in Lambton County, all 11 municipalities really need to work together to make sure that we do have lands that are available because of, St. Clair Township obviously is the one that's sort of the magnet in Lambton County for industrial commercial expansion. I think that we really have to work together collectively to make sure that we have pieces and parcels of land throughout Lambton County to take advantage of these opportunities that come along, because at the end of the day, we all win. Sure, we'd like to see something here in Warwick Township. Obviously, we're out working. Stephanie's working on it, the whole team here, as well as working with you. But at the end of the day, I think what we really need to do is we have to look at Lambton County as a whole and be happy for any kind of investment we get from outside of the area when it comes to growth, because that provides jobs and opportunities for everybody that lives in the county of Lambton, for which Warwick residents would have the opportunity maybe for some really good paying jobs, for instance, such as the Crown Royal plant that's going to be built in St. Clair Township. So no, I think we really need to kind of put our heads together collectively and have those discussions. If one wins, we all win at the end of the day. I know it's a very competitive process. The government has made it that way. We really need the government, and not just here in Lambton County, we're all competing for that same nickel and dime, but we need to have them help and invest in infrastructure in Lambton County to help us obviously provide those opportunities for you guys. And again, I want to say thanks very much for today. And you folks do a wonderful job. Matthew, congratulations on your interim leadership. Your enthusiasm is always very impressive, and I've always been a big fan of yours. So I wish you luck and your team moving forward. So if there's no other questions, anybody else have anything? Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. Have a safe trip home. Thanks. Okay, that concludes the open session of today's meeting. I'm going to ask for a motion that Warwick Township Council move into an in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the following reasons. A matter regarding personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Number 3, a matter regarding proposed or pending acquisition of disposition of land by the municipality or local board, section 239. Or number 6, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for the purpose of section 239. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Manning is moving, seconded by Councillor Morris. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you.